Hi everyone. Welcome back to Lazy Cat Reactions. This is episode 9 of season 14 of Heartland, titled Find Me in the Dark. Quinn's wealthy father arrives at Heartland with a life-changing proposition. So just from that description, I'm guessing it means that he has some life-changing proposition of having Quinn come back to Florida and work. But as we know, Georgie was in Florida anyways with Quinn, with training and everything. What happened to school? Did she delay it? I thought she was off it. No, because the first episode when she came back, wasn't she coming back from college? There was school and there was Florida. But a year had passed, so maybe she had gone to college and then had gone, I don't know, but they had said something about her going with Quinn to Florida. But since we're seeing Quinn in this, we should ideally be seeing Georgie. And as we know, Alicia Newton hasn't been in much of the season. She's only been in maybe half the episodes. But, you know, since it's hard, I think, when you have kids in a show, because depending on how long the show goes on, kids obviously grow up. And so then you have to decide what to do, especially if they want a different career path. It makes me think of, or not just a different career path, but a different path. It makes me think of Bailey Madison, because she was a child actor, and she was Grace on a show I watched called Good Witch, which you can catch my reactions to season 7 here on my channel. But she wasn't in the last 2 seasons. So she wasn't in 6 and 7, unfortunately. And I think if she had been in, we might have gotten a season 8. But she had wanted to go off to college. At least that's what she said. But now she's on a show called Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. And I'm kind of wondering about that. Like, did she finish college? Or did she lie about going to college? Or did she go and realize it wasn't for her? Because they had the character of Grace go off to college. And so I think Bailey Madison was following suit with that she was going off as well, which is then why she was kind of written out. We saw her briefly in season 7, because unfortunately that was filmed during the pandemic, and so they just, filmed her like through a phone that her mother was talking to her via FaceTime, which I really think they should have had her in for the finale. But like I said, she's on a different show now, but she had left, I think, for college, because she was, I think, about college age or whatever. But again, I don't know, because if she was college age, I don't think she would be working on a show right now, unless she films it during the summer and goes to school in the fall. I'm not sure. Excuse me. But anyways, that can of course be a problem with child actors. Some are there the whole time, they don't care. And some are like, yeah, I'm going to go off to college, and so then they have to do something with the character. And it could be sometimes that they're like, yeah, I definitely want to show up again, so, let's write me in like a Christmas episode or something. So I'm wondering if that's what happened with Alicia Newton, or if she just wanted to pursue other projects. Because like I said, I know she's not in 15 or 16, so my guess is that she wanted to pursue other projects, because she is in a show called Devil in Ohio. Anyways, let's get started. I love how you got the black horse and the white horse.
No, but the sun and the beaches kind of make up for that, don't they?
Yeah, it's not home. Okay, come on.
Like any animal. Who is that guy? He looks familiar.
No hotel ballroom.
I was thinking a much smaller affair.
Why don't we just get married at the town hall during your lunch break?
That's. Are you sure that's what you want?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey, Mickey.
The meeting in Vancouver is with some very big investors, and
Peter?
I want you to be there with me.
Well, I can't.
So, yeah, Amy was saying about Ty's dream became her dream. That seems to happen a lot, when a couple is married. They kind of take on each other's dream, like she was mentioning about the big house and the swing and the giant Christmas tree, which of course I remember Ty talking about, and she said his dream became my dream and now I don't know what it is. And I'm thinking, we know she's not going to go to Florida, but it is an interesting opportunity, and a exciting opportunity if she did, move down there with Lindy and take Spartan and Shadow. As he said, she'd kind of have free reign, I like how she said that she doesn't really like working for other people. She likes working for herself, because we have seen her, of course, get hired by people like Ahmed and Val Stanton and everyone, and it works temporarily, but yeah, she is more of a freelancer, independent and everything. And I think she kind of wants to continue what she and Ty had started with the business, even though, of course, now there isn't the veterinary aspect. And whatever happened to Scott? We haven't seen Scott in a while. But she does have an opportunity, unfortunately, now that Ty, where they could move, They could move to Florida, start a new life. Yeah, it'd be hard to be away, but they could FaceTime every day, come home for Christmas and summers and, major events like Katie's graduation, Georgie's graduation, if Georgie gets married, stuff like that, So there are reasons why they could come back. I mean, like I said, we know she's not going to go, but it does present a unique and interesting opportunity for her if she and Lindy would go. Obviously, start a new life. They'd have their own place. Again, Spartan and Shadow would have to travel with. And you have to wonder if that's something that Ty would want. Because she said a year ago I wouldn't have even considered it. And I'm thinking, would Ty have considered it? Like, if he had offered it to Ty. Engaged.
Is this a deal breaker?
What? You mean?
If I don't want to have any more kids, do you still want to get married?
Oh, yes. Of course I do.
Really? Does he? Lou was talking there to Mitch about not wanting to have any more kids. And like I said, that's something they should discuss before they get engaged. But that makes me think about people in the child-free community, which if you haven't already figured out, I myself am child-free. But I see a lot of posts from not just women, but men too, who, their partners change their minds. Or if they don't change their minds, believe that they will change their minds. And generally, and even though it does happen occasionally, generally people who are child-free are firm in their decision because we've thought it through and we have come to that decision on our own. We've weighed all the options. And unfortunately, some people still don't respect that. So that made me think of some of the posts I've seen with, in some of the child-free groups where they talk about they were with a partner, maybe they even got married, and they spent a few years with them, and then the partner changed his or her mind. And I do say her because there are child-free men out there. And, maybe they didn't change their mind. Maybe they were just playing a waiting game because they figured they would maybe wear the person down, or the child-free person would change their mind after being with that person for so long. And that is really not cool because it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to think, oh, well, after this person has been married to me for a few years, we'll be so in love and everything that they'll want to give me a kid. If someone says they're child free, and again, there are some who do change their minds, but then they're not truly child free. But if someone is truly child free, you're not going to change your mind. And it usually results then in losing that person. So it just kind of made me think about that there with Lou when she and Mitch were talking about it. Like I said, first they should have been discussing it before they got engaged. That probably should have been like their second or third date. Secondly, I get where Mitch is coming from about Georgie and Katie, and he is right. You know, he seems cool that Peter is involved in their life, and it does seem like he is willing to take the stepdad role for certain things, you know, like maybe helping Katie get ready for school and everything, but knowing that Peter will still be involved. He seems cool with that, which is good, you know. He likes that they seem to have a good relationship. But I get his point that they're Peter's kids. He would want one of his own or at least one of his own, because then he's got something that's not Lou and Peter's, something that's Lou and his. And, you know, Lou was talking there about kids, and I'm like, you did have one. Obviously, Georgie's adopted. Physically, you did have one. And it may have taken a toll on her body. That's one reason why some women choose to be child-free, because they don't want to go through what happens to their body, because some pregnancies, it totally destroys the body. And, you know, maybe for Lou, maybe it took a while for her body to recover. And since she's the one who has to carry the kid, it's understandable. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But again, it just made me think about that while they were talking. That I was like, yeah, you know, that unfortunately can be something that happens. And if Mitch is changing his mind on it, you know, I like that Lou was asking if it was a deal breaker. And he said no, but I'm starting to think that it might be, because if he is really wanting kids, it's easy for him to say that when he's not the one doing most of the rearing. But if he really is wanting kids, then he needs to make a decision. What's more important? Having Spawn or having his life with Lou and the girls and Peter there?
This is where you've been hiding.
Yeah, you got me. Well, it's supposed to be a...
So he's just going to leave his bags there in the car. I'd be like, I'm grabbing my bags and then walking back. You know, grab your stuff at least. Like I said, I know I've seen Michelle Nolden, like, again in promo pictures for season 16. Unfortunately, I've seen that Parker too. So obviously she sticks around. I don't know in what capacity though. You know, she's going to explain to Tim about the dark room. She probably feels it's overwhelming and a little too much or something, is my guess. But that is a really nice thing that he did for her. And Quinn does make a good point. You know, the whole thing about Magnolia Glades would make them look really good having an Olympic jumper. Even if she doesn't place, having a jumper that went to the Olympics would be great if she did place. But even if she doesn't, how that would be to say, hey, we have this Olympic jumper. But I do kind of wonder because, you know, Quinn is trying to do that, and I'm thinking, but what's Quinn's agenda? Is he hoping eventually that Georgie will move to Florida? Because that might be a hard no for her, given her home is Heartland. Or maybe it will be. Maybe she'd be okay with it. But I think if she does move permanently, she would want to take Phoenix. She realizes he came back. Like I said, I like that puffer. I like that it's that green and blue
What did I
turban.
say about riding Phoenix outside before a show?
She's gonna do it.
Well, my coach told me not to, but he quit this morning, so.
Yeah, about that. Just kind of hoping you'd take me back.
Depends.
Told by my dad for the rest of my life.
Your future's not uncertain, Glenn. You're a great coach, you just need to believe it.
Yeah, you do.
You're right.
It's a long road to the Olympics, and there's no one else I'd rather have by my side than you, but I'm not asking you to give up your relationship.
For no reason. And, you know, Parker talking about staying there in Hudson. And Amy's right, you know, she may not get what she wants, but she does need at least to tell her parents. Maybe Parker's dad will allow her to stay, and maybe he'll say no. Maybe he'd rather she go back to Toronto. Either way. But I like how she really doesn't want to sell Mickey. She just thinks she needs to because of Toronto. And I'm thinking, don't they have stables in Toronto? You could always, doesn't necessarily have to stay there. Especially because Heartland seems to be. And what about that horse? What was his name? Chase? Or Champion? No, not Champ. Chase, I think it was. The one that was abandoned. I know I mentioned about him occasionally, and I think he became a trail horse. But we hardly ever see anything about them. And what about that woman? How has she never come back? I mean, obviously she wanted to unload him, but it would be, I would like to see like a follow-up to that story. Because we've only seen the horse like once, which was season 12 or season 13 since, you know, which I'm glad they did finally follow up. And we know that now, of course, after a certain amount of time, because, you know, she said he did have some problems for a bit. And I'm thinking, you think after being abandoned? Yeah. And of course, she wasn't about to leave him. Not only abandoned, but then the PTSD from that accident. Just like Spartan. But, you know, as she said, now he's like the kindest, gentlest horse. So obviously over time, he became gentle. And the fact that she had a problem with him shows that she wasn't meant to have him as a horse. But still, it's like, why don't we get a follow-up on like the horses at the Duke Ranch every so often? And I know they focus on Spartan and Shadow, sometimes Harley. And now, of course, you've got Phoenix. What happened to Trouble? We haven't seen Trouble in a while either. Then there's Buddy and Champ and Venus. And now Mickey. It's just, it would be nice to get a follow-up, especially on some of the older horses, like Copper. Some of the horses that you don't get to see all the time. It's a good effort, Tim. Didn't seem to take him long to move on from Casey, though.
Hey, I saw the lights. I thought maybe you might have room for one more.
Of course we do.
What about your meeting?
I'll change the plans. I thought maybe I could spend more time with you and Georgie's family. I guess you'll have me.
Yeah. Come on, over by the fire.
Take your time now. Take mine too.
Well, I knew he'd come around at the end. Now I'll talk to Amy in person. I knew that Clyde would come around at the end. Have we heard anything about Quinn's mother? She must not be in the picture because I would think that either she would have come with or she would have something to say to Clyde. But, you know, seeing Mitch do that for Katie, that was being a father or a stepfather. And that's the type of thing that he can do, you know. I mean, Peter obviously wanted to be there. And personally, I think if he was there, he still would have let Mitch create that course. And I think he would have loved it. I think he would have been happy that Mitch was getting involved. Even if Mitch isn't Katie's father, I think he would still want someone looking out for Katie. Especially when he can't be there, when he has to stay in Vancouver. You know, then there's at least someone there. Because, you know, he did this great thing for Katie for her birthday. And you could tell that they were all having a bunch of fun. And of course, at the end of the day, that's what's important. You know? And when they were all sitting around talking there by the fire earlier, I think Clyde liked what he was seeing. You know, he saw that that Lou was there with Mitch. Or Mitch wasn't there. But, you know, there was Lou with her daughter, Katie, and then, of course, you know, Georgie with Quinn and meeting Amy and Lindy and seeing Jack with his wife, Lisa, and, you know, just seeing, obviously, the family. And even though Quinn said that Clyde had an agenda, at least there at the end, he kind of did want to spend time with the family. I could see him and Tim discussing business because Tim always seems to kind of have a head for business. Like I said, I know I've seen Parker in promos for season 16, so I know she's still around. That means I have to like her, because I don't. The next episode, I think, is going to be heartbreaking because it says that that jumping course that Ty built for Amy, like in the first season, sounds like she's going to maybe rebuild that. So that's going to be painful. We're going to have a bunch of memories from that. And like I said, I think it would be nice if and when season 17 comes, if we could see Ty again. Even if he just shows up as a ghost, or maybe as a twin. Maybe he had a twin who was separated at birth, you know? Maybe Lily didn't realize that. Who knows? Or an identical cousin. They could figure something out. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But Graham Wardle obviously loved the show because he stayed with it for so long. And he's obviously made friends because he had some sort of like podcast or something coming out. And Carrie James was one of the guests, or he and Carrie James were doing something. So obviously he and the cast are still friends. He's still friends with Amber Marshall and I'm sure Michelle Morgan and the rest of them. So even though he's not a part of the show anymore, he has friends probably for the rest of his life. And they probably figured that the only way Ty would leave would be to kill him, because he wasn't going to go anywhere. And of course, you know, I see these fan accounts like on YouTube and stuff, and they say, you know, like, for the upcoming season, Ty returns. And I'm like, I haven't watched these videos. That'll be like their thumbnail. I haven't watched them because I want to finish at least and get caught up through season 16 before I watch any of them. But I kind of wonder, like, why they think that. I mean, obviously they do that to get your attention, because then if you pull it up, then they either won't mention it at all, or they'll give like a little blurb and then talk completely about something else. So obviously they do that to get your attention. But it does also make me wonder, why did they think that there could be a possibility for Ty to return? Have there been rumors about it? Maybe Graham Wardle has been in touch with people. Who knows? Heartland, of course, is definitely going to be different without him. It already feels different. But I thank you for joining me for this reaction. Please hit the like button and subscribe for more content, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok. If you can, please support me on Buy Me a Coffee. Link is in the description. I'll see you for episode 10. Bye.